Look, I don't think Dominic is ever going to be, personally, one of those strikers who you going through one-on-one, you think, oh, this is going to end up in the back of the net. He's never convinced me as a pure goal scorer.
3 wins in 20 for Palace, watched by their new boss, Oliver Glasner. Everton out of the drop zone, but only just, not 1 in 8. There were boos, in fact, at times at Goodison Park before the equaliser. And Sean Dyche told talkSPORT he can understand why the fans expected Everton to pick up all 3 points.
You know, sometimes the hardest fight you got to win, is the one that everyone thinks you're going to, or the one that you think you should. That's one of them games tonight. The mentality is different. The fans' mentality is different. Why aren't we beating these? They're a good outfit. They've got a new manager sitting in the stand. That edge, that spark comes from that. We all know it. So we had to deal with that and play our own football. First half, we lost away. Second half, we regathered it and delivered a strong second half, I felt.
Didn't just lose their way, lost his voice as well. It's some voice to lose.
Could always tell, Jeff, the enormity of the game for Everton with the level of which Dyche's voice has gone after it, can't you? So that one last night clearly was a game that before kick-off, they would have identified, we got to win this, boys.
Well, it was a scrap. It was a battle, wasn't it? We were talking about it before, You don't always have to play the beautiful game, do you, to pick points on your board. And Sean's unashamed, that if the situation requires it, they will launch it into the box. And
again, I still think there's a place in the game for that. And I still think, as I mentioned earlier, it suits Everton. Whenever I go and watch a game at Goodison, I always think they're at their best when they are foot to the floor. It's chaotic. It's so difficult to handle if they do what they do right. And we saw that second half. First half, when it's a bit slow, predictable, tame, and they're not really getting any energy back from the punters at Goodison, then they lose a lot of what they've got there. But second half, that was a lot more like it. Corners, free kicks, set pieces, and getting it wide and just putting it in the box. In amongst all this fanciful talk nowadays and all the stuff that tactically you hear mentioned, there's nothing wrong with that, getting it wide and get it in there.
No. One man who wasn't impressed, though, with what he saw was Mark, the Everton fan, who called the sports bar after the full-time whistle.
I think for the first hour, I don't think, did any keeper have a shot to save?
No.
Or, the shot
there was very little, mate. Very, very little goal-mouth action from both sides, to be honest, yeah.
They were there for the taking, going into the game. I mean, I quietly confident 3-0. That was my prediction.
Calvert-Lewin can't score at the minute. I'm just watching the 2 headers that he had. He's got to put the second one away, I think.
Yeah, he has to score.
His confidence is so shot. It really is. I think maybe a stint on the bench, maybe.
03717223344. Everton fans, give us a call. Are you concerned after that performance last night? You heard the boys talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I tell you, I felt for him, Andy, because he tries his socks off and just nothing's going for him.
Yep. I don't think Dominic is ever going to be, personally, one of those strikers who you going through one-on-one, you think, oh, this is going to end up in the back of the net. He's never convinced me as a pure goal scorer. What he can do, again, when that delivery is right, there's no doubt he is very dangerous in the air. He leaps tremendously well. That's a real strong part of his game. And you've got to use that. He could do his bundling one in from a couple of yards out at the moment. It's just not happening in that respect for him. But I always, when I look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I always think I see a striker there that's going to be streaky when it comes to goals. He's going to have those spells where he's knocking them in the net and he looks like it's really happening for him, and then he's going to go 15, 20 games where he can't seem to get one at all from any angle. So look, that's the way it's going for him. The boys are saying that one that come across the box, Jeff, second half, that one when he climbed really well, didn't he? But he just didn't get it on target. Again, on another day. You look at Rasmus Højlund, I saw him at Luton at the weekend, the second one, where it comes off his chest and he kind of guides it with his chest into the far corner. That's how it's going for him all of a sudden. They're going in. And he's amongst the goals, Højlund, whereas for Dominic, it's hard work at the minute and very difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oliver Glasner, the new Palace boss, of course, he was in the stands watching. talkSPORT's chief commentator, Sam Matterface, was at Goodison, and he gave his thoughts on how Palace handled the departure of Roy Hodgson.
The fact that the news that he was going to be moved on leaked out on Wednesday evening, and then the subsequent illness happened the day after, I think has sort of clouded the whole process, and it's made it look a little bit unseemly, really. And I think he deserves a little bit more respect than that. And I think by putting him in, asking him to come back, in the first place was maybe a little bit unimaginative and a little bit lacking in ambition. It's why the fans have reacted in that way, and that's no disrespect.
Do you mean
Roy,
bringing him back or keeping him on? Because bringing him back,
bringing him back, fine.
Yeah.
Keeping him on for in the summer.
Yeah.
A decision, by the way, that they didn't make or announce until July the 4th. So it wasn't certain that they were going to do that. They were dithering at the time.
Do you think they were disrespectful to Roy, Andy?
Well, look, there's no doubt they will have been thinking about a change in the not too distant future for some time. They will have. You have to understand from Palace's point of view that if Glasner was always the man that they were looking for, if he was always the one that they wanted, were they able to do the deal when they wanted to do it? It's not always as simple as saying one out, one in. Sometimes there's more to it than what meets the eye. However, I'm not surprised it's happened. It's just a shame the kind of way it's had to happen, really. Roy obviously being taken ill. This guy was clearly always coming in over the last week or so. Everyone's, the worst kept secret in football that he's coming in. And I can't understand, Jeff, for the life of me, why he has to go up to Goodison and sit next to Steve Parish and Brighty. Get down there in the dugout. And so if he sat, he can be governed a little bit by Ray Lewington, but I never ever for the life of me understand why managers take a job and the first game they want to sit upstairs and watch it from up there, as if he hasn't been watching any Palace games over the last 7 days, as if he hasn't been given every detail on every player and who's playing well, who's not, etc., etc. Get down there in the dugout, man, and start sorting a few things out, making your voice heard. Because it's that new voice, it's that fresh ideas that will either kickstart Palace out of the trouble they're in, or possibly send him in the other direction. If he's one of those managers where he can't seem to get it going, it's going to send him in the wrong way. So
you know what? Now they picked up a good point on the road. He's probably wishing he had said he was in charge yesterday.
Because he takes that one, doesn't he?
Yeah, but if they lost 3-0, of course, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.